Alright, what's up YouTube? So this video is going to be sort of the things you need to know before you start using React. Um, it's geared towards people that know a little bit of JavaScript, want to learn React, and are a little confused about some of the stuff in React, specifically using map and filter within React to kind of leverage the use of JavaScript and React to write less code and to produce these components. I've seen a lot of people on Free Code Camp posting questions and not understanding how to do things with map and filter, and that's just basically not understanding the underlying JavaScript and then how that applies to React. So we're going to go over some of that stuff in this video. The first thing you want to have as a prerequisite is Node. You can go to Node website, just Google Node. I'll put the link in the description as well. And you'll want to get, I'm on a Windows machine, but you'll want to get the version for whatever your operating system is. So you can get the recommended version, or you can get the current version. Both are going to work just fine for this. I'm pretty sure. I use the current version, and it's not like it's got the latest features, but it's not crazy experimental where it breaks. It never breaks. So I recommend that. And after you install that, you're going to want to also do create React app. You're also going to want to install that, and you have to do Node first. And then you can follow the instructions on here, and we can go through it. You'll need some sort of code editor. I recommend Visual Studio Code. We can look that up real quick too. But you can use whatever code editor that you like. Other popular ones are like Atom, and people I used to use Cloud9 when I was on a Chromebook. Cloud9 would work just fine for this too. But you can download Visual Studio Code here. I'll leave the link in the description. And if you click on this little arrow, you can actually download the Insiders Edition, and that just has some of the, because they update you generally every month, but Insiders will give you updates all the time. And I have both. The blue is the regular, the green down here is the Insider Edition. And you see with the Insider Edition, I already have an update that I can install. I get one like every day. You get every little update that they give you. But that's a personal choice. So I'm in Visual Studio Code. I'll open up a terminal. I'm in my terminal. The first thing you want to do, if you haven't already done this, npm install -g, meaning global. So this would be installed on the whole system. You could create React app like that. So I already have it installed, but you run that, and this will give you access to the create React. Now you can type create React app, and it's a command on your terminal. And you should also be able to type node-v and npm-v to see the current versions. So I'm still on 10.2 for my node, which is fine. 10.5 is out, but it's not a big deal. So the first thing we're going to do is I like to keep all my stuff in a certain directory, so I'll go into that directory. I'm just going to make a new folder for this video. And you can call your folder whatever you want. I'm calling mine Before React. So let's go up here and open the folder. Now we got an empty folder before React. So we're going to create a new file. I'm going to call it map101.js. I'm going to create another new file. Again, you don't have to do this, it's just for me. It's just that some of the data that we're going to use, so we don't have to type it all out again. I will put a link to GitHub in the comments. So how do we use map? So let's start out with just an array. And map is a function that will return a brand new array. And basically you run a function on every single item in the original array. And the results of that function for each element get returned into a new array. So we can say const numbers times numbers times 2 equals numbers.map. In the traditional way of writing this, you can see in Visual Studio Code, I even get hints on descriptions about the function, but this is how you would write it in ES5. You say function of each element index array. It takes those 3 arguments, and they're optional. Element you pretty much need, but index and array are pretty much optional. You don't need them in all use cases. Index comes in handy quite a bit, and array for me not as much, but it takes all those arguments. So down here we just simply write return element times 2. And then we can console log. Let's do a few console logs. Both console log numbers, numbers. So we're just labeling our console log. You can do it 2 arguments to label the console log, basically. This is just to show you that the original array remains the same. And we created a new array called numbers times 2. So save that. Down in our terminal, start node app101.js. Enter. So there you can see in the terminal output. Maybe I'll make the screen a little bit bigger here. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit more readable. You can see that our second array is just each element multiplied by 2. And you can also write this, we'll just call it CS6 equals numbers.map. And you can just say, that right there. So with the arrow function, we don't need to put we don't need to write the function keyword first of all. If there's only one argument we're going to use, we don't need to put the argument in parentheses. And if we don't put in curly brackets, it's going to automatically return the next expression here. So we really can condense it down. And these two are equivalent. We can also go pencil like ES6, ES6. And come back down to the terminal and run that again. And you see that ES6 is indeed the same as numbers times 2. So both these ways, you can see where the arrow function really is a lot less code. Literally, it's like writing the word function as many letters as writing the word. There's more letters in function than there is letters in this whole entire arrow function. So you can see where it's pretty helpful. So that's the basics. Make a new file called map102.js. And I'm just going to copy over some data here. And you can see now we have an object. So it's a little more complicated. So say we want to turn this object into a sentence. So we can say sentences equals people dot map function of person. We can even put index in there. We'll use it, I guess, just to show you how you could. And we can say return. Say return person dot name. So we're referring just to the name property here of this object. And you should know object notation by now. And we'll just concatenate a string here. Person.name is, don't forget the spaces, plus person.age plus, and quotes, space, years old, period. And just to, we can use that index in the beginning here. So we'll say index plus, I don't know, dot curly brace, I guess. And don't forget that plus sign there. So we're just making a label. And you'll see when we console log it. So console log sentences. And in the terminal we'll run node map 102 this time. And you'll notice the index starts at 0, and you also notice that that curly parenthesis looks really dumb there, so we'll just use a dot. And we could say, put index in parentheses, and we could say index plus 1. And say that, and run it again. So now we get a normal looking list where it's 1, 2, 3. And you see we made sentences. Jeff is 23 years old. Jennifer is 34 years old. And we've got that index there. So that's how the index comes into play. And of course, we'll switch over to ES6, I think, from now on, just because That's how most people are going to be writing it now. We can just say people.map. I'm going to say P will return. Our return will use a string literal with backticks. And so if you want to use JavaScript in there, you put a $sign and curly braces. So we'll say inside that we'll say person.name is just P. We're trying to shorten everything here. P.age years old. And we'll count to the log res6. Now you can see, I mean, we didn't put the index in the second time, but we certainly could. We can just say, and since we're using two variables now, we can't just write pi like that. And then parentheses like that. Now we can just, if we do our curly braces and say I plus 1, that space like that. And now when we run it, now we get our index in there. So you can do these map functions on one line, which makes them kind of cool. And you know, if you're using a string, you can use the backticks, and it makes it pretty simple. But either one of these ways is the same. Anything in between is the same, and they all work just as good. So as you can see, map is just making a brand new array by taking in the original array, and the original array, like we showed in the first example, remains the same. We're just making a whole brand new array. Okay, so that's map. So what about filter? We'll make a file called filter 101. Filters, I'm just going to grab some data over here. So I've got an array of mixed variables. So I've got numbers 1 and 2. I've got booleans. I've got strings, all in the same array together. So filter is similar to map in the sense that we can assign a function that will be applied to every single element in the original array. Except instead of in map where we're saying, well, we want it to be this sentence now, or we want to multiply it by 2. We're actually, in filter, we're actually going to return true or false for each element. So we're going to go through 1, 2, false, baseball, golf, and either return it with true or not return it to the new array with false. So that's to show an example. So we can say const, say sports equals mixed variables filter, and we're going to use ES6 syntax from now on. So we can say, we'll just call it MV for mixed variable. And we'll return, we can use type of, is built into JavaScript. Type of MV triple equals quotes string. So we know that our strings are the sports. And here we're going over that and we're looping over it into each one of these elements here. And we're going to run type of MV, and if it equals string, this statement here is going to return true. And if this statement returns true, it's going to return its original item. So it's going to run it on 1. It's going to say type of 1 equals string. And that's going to be false because that's a number. So this statement evaluates the false, therefore this MV does not get returned to sports. But then when it gets to baseball, it says type of baseball equals string. This is going to be true. So it's going to take this MV, which is the string baseball, and return that as an element in sports. So when we console log sports, we save our file. I hit Control L to clear my terminal. And then I hit up just to get the last command. This is going to be filter 101. You can see it's returning an array. We've filtered out what we didn't want. We filtered and been able to return what we want. So in that same light, we can say numbers equals mixed variables. That filter mixed variables and type of number. So we would expect our second array to just be the numbers. So it is. So you can see how filters working there in a basic sense. So we'll make a new file called filter102 just to drive everything home. And we will get to some actual React here in a moment, but I want to make sure that everyone understands what we're doing here. So we got some doctors, we got their names, their specialties, and test scores on the test they took. So say we're say we're the boss at the hospital, and we're looking for a new doctor that is specializes in pediatrics, but also has a test score of 95 or above. That's our criteria for hiring, and we've got these 5 applications on our desk. So we can say, just say hired. Doctors.map, map over each doctor. Now here we're going to do some logic, so we are going to write the curly brackets here, which gives us more room when we need to write more than a one-liner. So while we don't necessarily truly need this, it's good to know this syntax as well. So when we do it like this, we can say return here. When we don't put the curlies, this return is automatic in our other examples, but return is needed when we have the curly braces in the arrow syntax. So we can return, we'll say d.specialty equals pediatrics, and with our double ampersand symbol, the test score is greater than or equal to 95. More console letter higher. And we eyeball it, we should say, okay, the only doctor is Singh, who had a score of 99, a specialty of pediatrics, where the other two here, immunology and cardiology, don't have the right field, and the other two people with pediatrics don't have a high enough test score. So we should expect to see Singh when we run 102 down here. Oh, and this should not be map. This should be filter. There we go. That's more like it. So we see, disregarding our map that we did by accident, we see hired, and it is Singh, and it filtered out the one we wanted. So hopefully you have a basic understanding of filter map. And now let's put it into a React setting. So we can run, we've installed create React app. We can run create React app. And don't forget the dashes. And we'll just call it, and put a space after create React app. And then this is going to be the name of the folder that it puts it in. So you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it example. And hit enter. And it's going to take a couple of minutes to install everything. You can already see the folder is created, and you can watch the terminal. The terminal will do a bunch of stuff. But basically, we're going to take this doctor data here, and we're going to put it into a table. We're going to put it into a table, and we're going to use map. And I'll show you how we can apply map to React in a very basic way. And really being able to use these different map functions is really what makes React pretty cool. So why don't we have one more doctor while we wait? I'll add it real quick. And doctor spot. Specialty of space. And the test score 100. Well, that killed a little bit of time. Maybe taking a little longer than normal. Oh, but there it's done. So the first thing that we want to do is cd into that example directory. We're not going to get into everything that's in here. That's beyond the scope of the video, but basically we want to go into the src folder, and we have app.js. That's the file we want to be working in. And down on the command line, we can run npm start. And that's going to spin up this React project into our browser automatically for us. localhost 3000. Well, here is our React app, and that's just your basic React app that you start with. So down here, we're going to go back. Now we're just going to make a new div. And up at the top, I'm going to make a little space. And I'll bring in our doctors array here. So in this div, I'm going to use a table. It's just a normal HTML element here. I'm going to put a table row, which is tr. And th for table header. We'll just write name, specialty, and test score. Underneath that, in curly braces, alright, this dot render table, and evoke the function here. And we'll go up here in between the class declaration and the render. We'll say render table equals the function. And we'll say on the same line, just to make it a little easier, we'll say that it's going to return doctors.map over each doctor. And here, I could use the curly brace here, but to save a line, to show you something new, I'm going to use parentheses. So with parentheses, I don't have to write the return statement. With parentheses, I can just start writing what I want to return. So inside here, I want a new table row. And inside each row, I want a cell, which is TB. 3 of those. Each one we're going to put something. So we're going to put t.name, t.specialty, t.test score. So when we're writing the JSX here, we need to enclose any JavaScript in curly braces. So that's all we're doing. I also want you to put a key so that I can identify internally which one's which. So I'll just put t.name as the key. That should do for this example. Now we'll just save it. And when we go over to our project, there it is right there. And just because we're in here, well, this div, we'll give that a class name of, let's call it container, I suppose. Save that, and then we'll open up this app.css file. Go down to the bottom and say container display flex, and justify content center. Save that. That moves our table over to the center. So you can see that we took raw data and mapped it out. So how can we put filter into here? Well, underneath our table, let's make a button. And we'll just say view cardiologist. And we'll say this dot toggle filter with no invocation after it. So we'll make a piece of state up here. We'll say state, let's say filter is false. Or we can chain functions. So we can say that filter right after this map function. So we can go dot filter and we're filtering over each element. So we'll just call it an element for now. Of this filter, we can say this dot state dot filter or to return error expression. So we can say the filter is true. We're going to return L.specialty equals cardiology. Otherwise, we want to return everything. We'll just write true. Well, right now the filter is off. So this is false. It's going to jump over to this side and it's just going to return true for everything. So if it returns true, even though it's going over each element, We may have to switch the order of this, but let's just see if it works. So we're toggling the filter with that button. So let's write that function real quick. And I just came up with this off the top of my head, so we may have to work it out. And when you hit that toggle filter button, we say this dot set state filter, and we'll say exclamation point for this dot state dot filter. Basically, so if filter is false, clicking the button will make filter true again, and if it's true, we'll make it false. So it's just this thing here is just saying switch it from true to false. I'll save that. And down here, just to pretty up, we'll say flex direction is column, and we'll say align item center. That's my content center, I guess it's fine. All right. And the problem there is we want this filter on top of our map. This should work. So we got our doctors, and we filter them first before we map them out. So you can imagine we have all these doctors, but if we only want cardiology, the only thing that's going to get mapped, and therefore the only thing that's going to get tableized, if you will, is cardiologist. Let's test it out. Well, let's change cardiology to pediatrics, just so we get a couple more answers back. But there you go. You can see how filter is working with map inside of React. So hopefully this wasn't too complicated. I kind of just came up with that filter on the fly, but this is a good way to put in filter and map and how it works in React, since React does have the ability to render arrays for you. That's just a simple example of using filter and map in React. Now, for all the links to the different sites like Node, VS Code, Create React App, you'll find those in the description for this video. And I will put this code up on GitHub. So if you need to look at some of the actual code closer, or you don't want to type out all of the data from each video, you just want to get this data file and use all the different data, I will post a link to the GitHub. So I hope you got something out of the video. I hope you understand map and filter a little bit better now. And for more advanced React stuff, check out all my other videos. I think I have upwards of 150 to 175 different videos, including making a YouTube clone, making a Pomodoro clock, different React stuff. So check those out, and we'll see you later.